Sha'ah tova. Sha'ah tova. David finally touched the button. Alright, last week we were in Parashat Bamidbar. This week, Bezrat Hashem, with Parashat Nasso. We'll see. We talked about last time about the desert, how positive, and so on and so forth. The Mishkan. We'll try to get a different outlook today. So in this parasha, we'll continue dealing with the Mishkan, with the Mishkan itself, and of course we have the famous story about the Nazir, the Nazarite, or the Jewish monk. So let's try to learn about the internal aspects of this week's parasha. And of course, after the inauguration of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, the whole inyan over there, comes the presidents of every tribe. They bring the korban, they bring the sacrifice, and the avodah of the Mishkan start. In other words, they start to bring the sacrifice, and the Mishkan, the tabernacle, starts to function, as it should be. And guess what? Bnei Israel are walking in the desert again. So, and walk in the desert, of course, they walk together with the desert, in the desert together with the Mishkan, which seems a little surreal, seems a little strange. Why does it seem strange? Because a nation of nomads, right, that usually travel from one place to another or walk from one place to another, in a desert especially, where it's full of dust and the sand and whatever and so on and so forth, it's kind of strange and bizarre, almost surreal, that they would carry with them such an apparatus of glory and awesomeness, of gold and copper and so on and so forth. Hello, Mr. Arson, Doctor. Okay, it will be some kind of stranger that will carry such a big apparatus of gold and silver and copper and beauty and craftsmanship with them in the desert. Usually, nomads don't have such big, expensive items. It's a burden. It's a burden. There isn't a nation that carries with it, it doesn't make a difference if it's the Mongols in the prairies of Mongolia, or Lakotas in South Dakota, or Apaches in Arizona, or whatever. Nomads don't have such things. It's a balagan. Who needs it? So it's kind of bizarre that Am Yisrael drags with them this thing within the desert. So, as usual in cases like this of things don't make sense, if you think about it, nobody really pays attention to that. When was the last time you actually heard or thought about the concept that it's really bizarre that Am Yisrael, as a nation of nomads, carries such a things with them, right? You take it as just, okay, they had the Mishkan, they were in the desert, they schlepped the whole thing over. Okay? So we can't do this anymore. We have to look at things. And since it's a bizarre thing, of course, we're going to try to answer this phenomena. And without a doubt, as they say, there's more to the picture than meets the eye. Hey, my. You know, Neil Young, that's very famous. So therefore we're going to examine the situation not as a visual artifact or as a visual phenomena, but more as a hint to an idea that maybe comes to teach us or to tell us something that we are simply missing. And of course that's what it wants to do, without a doubt. Marcus Aurelius. So the Mishkan, let's look at the Mishkan. What is the Mishkan? What does the Mishkan represent? The Mishkan represents a place of harmony, of completion. We call it in Hebrew shlemut. Shalem, whole, harmonious. A place of divine revelation. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when God reveals himself to the people in a matter of a cloud and so on and so forth, when the people can communicate with God on a regular basis. On the other hand, the midbar, the desert, and by the way, I love deserts. I spent many years in the desert. I love it. It's an awesome place. And I think it would be a good idea for a lot of people to go for a few years in the desert and then come back here. You know, will go a certain change in your life. The desert is a good place. However, the desert to most people is a dry place. Antarctica or the North Pole are deserts. Right? It's a dry place. And most of the times, or at least to most people, nothing grows there. Nothing blooms there. There are certain things that grow in the desert.
Cactus.
Cactus. Right away you said cactus because you're thinking about Joshua tree or some kind of like a cactus in Arizona. We're talking about the desert, you know. You want to see the desert? Good. Go to Monument Valley. Take a picture of Monument Valley. There's like desert. There's nothing there. Or go to Sinai. Or go to the Negev. Or go to the prairies. There's like, well, actually prairies are not, but go to the Badlands. There's nothing. Nothing grows there. This is what we call the Badlands. Nothing grows there. There's no blooming. Nothing. Usually there's ongoing danger in the desert. It's a dangerous place to be. So people don't want to go there. You can get lost very easily, become quickly disoriented with your situation. You could easily die of, most likely, you'll die of thirst, of hunger. It's a place where it's hot in the day, and believe me, very cold at night. The desert, it's cold at night. Especially if the desert, that particular desert, is on a high place. It's cold at night. There are snakes. There are scorpions. Desert usually symbolizes a state of ongoing and continuous state of survival. You always have to survive in the desert. You always have to look for food. You always have to look for shelter. You always have to look for water. You know, you build shelter. The shelters that you build in the desert are not usually permanent shelters. If you're lucky enough and you go to the Navajo reservation, you actually see some earth mounds that they live inside. That's more of a permanent. But most of them, like in the desert they build here, it's called a wikiap, which is some kind of like branches that they put up together, almost like a sukkah. That's the whole sukkah concept that we have. The temporary aspect of your life. That's why we go out of the sukkah when we build a temporary dwelling. So you're always surviving in the desert. And it's very difficult to live there. You always have to be on the move. You always have to go. You're a wanderer. You're a nomad. The desert represents a place of lack of stability. There isn't a lot of, besides the heat and the ongoing danger and difficulties, there's nothing stable there. You always have to be moving. The wind comes. Have you ever seen, I don't know, and it's too bad you haven't, if you haven't experienced a sandstorm. I experienced sandstorms few times. One time I was in Sinai before they gave it back. It was, I think, January or something like that. It was an experience. I'll tell you, it was absolutely an experience. The wind came from the west, and every grain of sand is like a needle thrown at you. And it is unbelievable. Then you build yourself a little hut from whatever you find there. We find some tarp in some boxes, and we build it to ourselves, and you take a little candle and you put it in the sand inside, and you feel like $1 million. It is really unbelievable experience in being in a desert like this. It's amazing. It is so amazing, you don't know. All of a sudden you're coming here, you got ACs, windows. It's you look at life a little different. So that's what the desert is. Desert represents to us all those places that are inside of us. all the situations that we find ourselves many times where we try something and nothing grows and nothing blooms in what we do, that we feel uncomfortable, places inside of us a situation that we feel unstable. That's the representation of the desert. And situations that we so unstable, of ongoing survival. I always have to struggle. Nothing is easy for me. It is always, always hard. Or difficulties that we have with our spouses. Difficulties of survival in terms of bringing parnasah, bringing money, making a living. Sometimes it's overwhelming. And you said, you know what? I just can't do it. I'm just going to sit here and just wait for this miserable time or miserable life to be over. I just can't do this anymore. This is the desert, the way we experience it inside of us. Many times we have situations where we don't progress or advance to where we want to, on a schedule that we want to. Again, if you have a sandstorm in the desert and your plan is to make the next 20 miles by foot or even by car, and there is a storm, you just can't do it. So your schedule gets all messed up because of unexpected or unstable situation, because you're in the desert. If there is a storm here, right, you can still drive in a car. You have roads. Even if it's a snowstorm, they'll plow the roads. An hour later, they'll plow the road. They'll open the highway. You go on the highway. It's no big deal. Take a subway. But the desert is completely different. So these are the situations that we feel inside. These feelings that we have, that we fail all the time. That we fail all the time. And then, usually when we have situations like this, what do we do? What most people do? We start fantasizing on better life. Fantasizing. Fantasiot. Right? About a better place, a better life. One day I'm going to be rich. I'm going to have a cup of brandy, a cognac in my hand, a little cigar in my other hand. I'll wear my silk smoking robe and going to have 72 virgins serving me ice cream cake. This kind of life. Or places. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina, right? Can you see? In my mind, I'm going to places where, there are waterfalls, not the desert, there are waterfalls, and there are fruit trees. And I don't know, 72 virgins going like this with palm trees on me to make me cool and feeding me grapes. Fantasies. And those fantasies, my dear friends, my fellow Jews, this is what a certain industry makes its living. It's called vacation. That's why I'm against vacations. I'm against vacations. You go to vacation because you say, I can't do this anymore. My life is not going anywhere. I don't feel good. So therefore you go on vacation. You spend a lot of money that you don't have because you live on a credit card, right? You live on a credit card, so you spend $10,000 to go to who knows where, to pretend that you are, Alibaba and the 70 dwarfs, right? And for 1 week, you're going to eat as much as you can, eat like a pig, drink like a pig, sleep and go and do all these fantasies. They're selling you fantasies. And then you think your life is going to be better. And then you come back to the same situation that you had, and you hate it even more. This is the fantasy of your life. I'm not saying don't go to trips, but for a purpose, for a reason. But that is a fantasy. That does not solve your problem. That does not give you a break. That creates that will break you. That will break you. So, what do we do? So let's start with this. So first of all, Sam, can you just turn off that water? So first of all, in my immediate experience, I might be in the desert. In my immediate experience, I'm in the desert. I'm in the place that things don't work. However, but, and there's a big but here. Well, don't forget what we said last week. But inside of you, there is a mishkan. Inside of you, there's a tabernacle. Inside of you, there's a mishkan. And what is this mishkan? What is this mishkan? We said that the mishkan, the tabernacle, was a place where Bnei Israel, right, did what? Were connected to the Ein Sof, to the eternity. They created to the spiritual. They were connected to God. That's why the Mishkan is in the center, equal distance from every tribe. Right in the center of the existence of Am Yisrael, there is a place where you're able to connect yourself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu without any inferiority. We are all the same in that. My distance is equal to your distance. We are all in the same distance from the holy. We connect that to this holy. Not always we allowed, or we can actually, to connect to this, or we able to feel it, or to control it, or to gain control over it, or so on and so forth. But you should know that it's always with you. It is always with you. That place inside of you that you can always connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to eternity, is always there in you. As much as Bnei Israel, again, were in the desert, traveling through the desert with the Mishkan in the middle. So all of a sudden you might see that the Mishkan actually makes sense as a nomad. It makes sense to have the Mishkan for Bnei Israel. It is not for glory. It's not for anything. It actually teaches us a tremendous lesson here. That Mishkan, again, as we said last week, it doesn't make a difference, and to that Mishkan inside of you, to that place inside of you, it doesn't make a difference, and pay attention, very close attention. It doesn't make a difference who you are and what have you achieved in your life or not. When you connect yourself to that part inside of you, it doesn't make a difference if you are able to graduate at the top of the 1% of Harvard Law School, candidate to become El Presidente, the next one, or you didn't even finish high school and you cannot read. That place, to that place of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are all equal. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if you're a big rabbi who knows the whole Kabbalah by heart, or you're just learning Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. It does not make a difference at all. It does not depend to your personality, your connection to the place. Amen. It does not connect to your achievements. Each and every one of us is connected to this shlemut, to this completion, to this harmony, and all human beings are a part of it. Ki b'tzelem Elokim bara et ha'adam. That's divine spark that is in any person. In any person. And we need to understand, we must understand this point. Bnei Israel saw the Mishkan, the tabernacle, were they in the desert. It walked with them all the time. We don't see it. We don't see that place where we connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to this point of light, this beacon of light that is beaming throughout our lives all the time, from the moment we were conceived until the soul comes out from our body. That beacon of light keeps on sending signals, that ping, that black box inside of you all the time. We still need to understand that we live and we operate against against reality. And that's what I see. Even if the person fails, I'll give you an example. A person tries something and he fails. Okay, so, no, what's the problem? So I failed. But I'm still connected to shlemut, to completion. I'm still connected to harmony. So therefore, my failure is not really a failure. It's just another chance, another experiment. So it's not a failure. So there's no big deal. And on the other hand, if I did something and I succeeded, great. This is what the Torah warns us. When the Torah says, "Kochi ve'otzim yadi asher asu li et kol ele," my hand, my might, my power, which brought me to this success, then you also need to remember, okay, so you succeeded. No, what's the big deal? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is more successful in anything he does. And the only way you were successful is because you connected with him. All right, so no problem, so I succeeded. Not a big deal. Let's move on. In other words, it doesn't make a difference if you fail or if you succeed. What is important that you don't get stuck at the point that you're at. Because the point that you're at is a desert. And if you stay still in the desert and you are not on a constant move, surviving, replenishing, you will die. So therefore, don't flatter yourself when you succeed. And don't hate yourself when you fail. It's not a big deal. This glorifying of success is for those who don't understand the place of God in the world and their place in the world of God. It's not a big deal. So one can paint beautiful. Why can he paint beautiful? Because he became a vessel. He's a clean vessel. So he was able to paint. One was able to play. He hears a piece of music, he plays it right away. Why? He is empty, so he can receive that channel. That's what, in other words, called inspiration. And if you don't succeed, who said what success? In other words, what I want to tell you, the true success is not what you achieve, but how much you realize your place in the world of God. So, the difficulty is that I don't feel it. I don't feel this place, and I don't feel this connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside of me. I don't feel. I only feel my feelings. I feel myself. So right now, I don't feel good. Right now, things are difficult for me. I don't see how HaKadosh Baruch Hu manages the world for me. I'm very spoiled brat. It's hard for me, and I throw a tantrum. That's what little kids do. When things don't work their way, they take it and they throw it at the wall. They get angry. It's okay if you're 2 years old. Well, we expect you to grow out of it. And yet we don't expect you to be so spineless that if things don't work your way, it's like it's hard for you and you don't feel good. And why does God do it to me? And doesn't He didn't do anything to you. Just keep on going. But the difficulty, as I said, is that it's not that that I don't feel it and so on and so forth. And the reason why I don't feel it is really because I don't really want to understand that. I don't really want to understand. I don't really want to understand that there is a secret for me. It is, we have a certain sense of entitlement that every time I feel entitled, right? That I have to understand and I have to know everything. And if I don't understand something, guess what? I throw it away. It doesn't exist for me. So when you don't understand your connection to Ribono Shel Olam, you throw it away. You throw it away. You don't bother to understand. When we will be able to understand that, right? And we understand how HaKadosh Baruch Hu operates in the world. We'll understand that we have this ability, this box that connects the transmitter and receiver, that transmits and receives, as we spoke previously about those things. We will be able to be amazing. Why? Because at that point we become a vessel of expression to God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu expresses like an artist. Expresses his emotions on his creation. We will be able to reflect the will of God in the world. And that is the whole concept of us becoming a beacon of light to the nations. We are expected to understand that we have this connection inside of us to the spiritual, that things are not so bad. We're supposed to teach it to the people. But what happens when we give up? We can teach it. You can't teach a subject if you don't understand it. If I don't understand trigonometry or algebra, I can never teach it. So if you don't understand how you connect and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and how HaKadosh Baruch Hu works, and what is expected from you, how do you expect to teach the non-Jews? How do you expect to teach your fellow Jews who don't understand that? No wonder nobody wants to come, because it just doesn't make sense. We are not connected to this light, therefore we can shed this light and light the way to the other people. Our batteries are empty. In other words, we don't have emunah, because we don't want to. We want somebody to help us. Nobody will help you. You've got to help yourself. That point inside of you, that connection that each and every one of us has with Ribbono Shel Olam is an individual connection. It will be like if you're married and you have some words with your wife, sometimes. So you're going to have, every time you want something from your wife, you're going to send some third party to talk to her. So what does she need you altogether? So this understanding brings us, this is long. This understanding brings us to the Nazir, to the Nazarite. The Gemara in Masechet Ta'anit, Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, says the following: Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Kol hayoshev beta'anit nikra choteh. He who sits in fasting or self-torturing, so on and so forth, is considered to be a sinner. Savar ki Tanya Rabbi Eliezer HaKapar Rabbi Omer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Eliezer HaKapar says, Ma Talmud lomar v'chiper alav ma'asher chata ala nafesh. What does it mean? He needs to bring an atonement for his sin on the soul. V'che'ezer nefesh chata zeh. What sin did he do? What soul are we talking about? Ela shetziyer et atzmo min hayayin. He removed himself from wine. V'lo dvarim kal v'chomer. It's easy. Uma zeh shelo tziyer atzmo ela min hayayin nikra choteh. He who prevented himself from drinking the wine is called a sinner. Hametzayer atzmo michol davar v'davar. If you remove yourself from anything, right? Al achad kama v'chama. So therefore, the Nazir here seems like a very bad thing. Rabbi Elazar Omer Nikra Kadosh. It's called holy. Shene'emar, because it says in Bamidbar Parashat, Kadosh yeh Gedal Pera Se'ar Rosho. Uma zeh shelo tziyer atzmo ela midavar echad nikra Kadosh. He who prevented himself from consuming or dealing with one thing is called holy, Kadosh. Al achad kama v'chama. Right? Even more so if he prevents himself from many things. So in a way, it's a contradiction. So what is this Nazir? Is he a sinner or is he a holy man? It's a question. The Ibn Ezra says, he said, Ki yafli. Ki yafli, the words yafli comes to yafrish, separate. Or yaseh davar pele, or he's going to come to do something that is wondrous. Why? Most of the people are motivated by their desires. Food, mainly, and sex. Big time. The world, goes after that. Desire. Or they have a desire not, to lose control. They don't want to. So they're motivated by desire. So ve'asazeh, and this one, right? And this person came and removed himself from desire, and he did so for the sake of Avodat Hashem. In order to do Avodat Hashem, to be a slave to God in such a way, he removed his desires, his self from that matter, and he did it because that's what needs to be done. Why? Ki hayayin mashchit hada'at va'avodat Hashem. Wine, or alcohol to that matter, or even pot, or anything. Why specifically wine? Because wine at the time was one of the main recreation drug. But to that matter, anything that would not make you sharp. You're not going to be wise. When you're drunk, you act like a fool. Or when you're stoned, you act like a fool. Or anything like this. You stand in front of God all the time, you can be drunk, or stoned, or drugged. You stand in front of God. And there are those who say, Nazir migzerat nezer. Nezer is a crown, right? So ve'id ki nezer Elohav al rosho. He put the crown of God on his head. That's why it's called Nazir. I'm careful with that, right? Now, veda ki kol bnei adam avdei ta'avat olam. Most of the people are slaves to their desire. והמלך האמיתי שיש לו נזר ועטרת מלכות בראשו, right? And the real one who is in control of the situation is the person who is free from desires. That is considered to be a step above people. So the Ibn Ezra says it's a good thing to be Nazir. So you see how the machloket comes. We might daven a little later than 9, but I want to make sure you understand that. The Rambam in Alachot Deot writes the following: Shema Yomar Adam Oil Va'akina Va'ta'avot, and so on and so forth, right? Since jealousy, honor, and so on and so forth would make a person lose his world, so therefore, Erchak mehem beyoter, I'll become extreme with that, and I'm going to go to completely one side, to the point where I'm not going to eat, and I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to marry a woman, I'm not going to sit in a nice house, and I'm not going to wear nice clothes, but rather I'm going to wear wool, and rough wool, like the monks, the Jesuits, monks, they wear all this, to torture the body all the time, and so on and so forth, as the priests for idols did at the time. It says, Gam zeh derech ra v'asur lilech ba. It's a bad way, you can't do that. Tava, kavod, no, that's a bad way. Don't do this. V'ame'alech b'derech zu, listen carefully, and who walks in this path, nikra choteh, he's called a sinner. Rabotai, there are a lot of people who you admire that you need to carefully. This guy doesn't look at this one doesn't breathe at that, this one doesn't do this, only eats dinosaur eggs, all kind of crazy things like this. And we all quite primitive people, should I say, oh, wow, that's amazing, oh wow, that's amazing. The Rambam calls him choteh, sinner. A sinner. Of course, we need to understand. And he says, "V'rei omer ben Nazir," the same thing as a bring. "V'chiper alav ma'asher chata ala nafesh." And he says, "Sa'aru chachamim u'mayim Nazir shelo parash min hayayin tzarich kapara." The same thing as we said before. He only removed himself from the wine. He needs to bring an atonement. Therefore, if you prevent yourself, I'm not going to marry anyone, and so on. The same thing. The Rambam in Sefer Kedusha, what does it bring? Isurei Achila, right? What you're allowed and not allowed to eat, and what you're allowed, and what kind of sexual relations you're allowed to or not allowed to be engaged with. In other words, the Rambam is giving you a big tool here. Unlike different religions in which they don't marry women, and they don't, or other religions that don't drink wine, or other religions that separate themselves and they fast for 40 days and they don't speak and they don't do this, and so on and so forth, comes the Rambam and says to you, no, sanctify the chomer, sanctify the materialistic, bring meaning to everything you do. Don't eat like a beast. Don't have relations like an animal, like a horse. Have meaning in everything. The fact that you are taking that ability to take wine, to make a bracha on it, you're making a blessing, you are sanctifying it. That's the hint that we have in Kiddush on Shabbat. Shabbat, but the Jews are drunk. No, we're taking the wine and we are showing you that you can make even something like this that will make people lose control. We drink in the shiur, we eat. Our job is to sanctify the chomer, is to elevate the material aspect of us, to bring it holy. And when you don't do that, you sin. According to the Rambam, that's an avera choteh. Terrible. Think about it. Next time you want to fast, you want to do this. I did this. Let me fast, 80 fast. I want to roll in the snow naked. Pour cold water on myself. Put my feet in. All kind of torturing. This is not for us. Certain people whip themselves up and mutilate their bodies as an atonement for the sin. Close the window. Somebody smoked there. And he says, not enough what the Torah told you, what you're allowed and not allowed to do. Now you're going to add things that you're not allowed to do on yourself. That's not only that you're choteh because of that, you're also arrogant. Who in the world do you think you are? You're going to be holier than the Torah? The Torah says don't eat pig. So now you're not going to eat something else? I mean, what? The Torah told you to eat it. Who are you? In other words, you're out of place here. You don't know your place. Lo must speak, you're arrogant. And it says, "Ubichlal zeh elu shemitanim tamid." Those who fast on regular basis, the Rambam says, "Einan bederech tova." It's not a good way to do. Why do you fast? Instead of fasting, come to the Bet Midrash, come and learn, make yourself into a better human being, because then you have to work. You understand? Now you have to change. When you fast, you say, "Listen, I pay my dues. The job is done. It's all clear." Now I have more room to sin again, No. Come to Bet Midrash. But you're going to be, I'm too sick, I'm too tired, I can't fast. Oh, don't fast, come and learn. Eat and come and learn. Eat normal. Eat like a person. Eat with a purpose. And he says, ועל כל הדברים האלה and so on and so forth, ואסרו חכמים prohibit us, שיהיה אדם מסגף עצמו בתענית. Says you can't fast, unless of course it's those fasts that we have to. You can't, אסור. ועל כל הדברים האלה and so on and so forth, ציווה שלמה ואמר, שלמה המלך says, אל תהיה צדיק הרבה, don't be so righteous, ואל תתחכם יותר, and don't be a wise guy. What does it mean, al tiyeh tzaddik harbe? I want to become a better person. So I should say, okay, I'm okay now, I'm an okay human being, so I don't have to become better, that's it. Job is done, next. Oh no, that's not what it means. That's not what it means at all. Then the Rambam writes in Halachot Nezirut, it says, Hareini ha'omer, a person says, I will become a Nazir if I do so and so. Im lo asa, ze nikra rasha. If he says, I'm not going to drink wine, and he didn't listen to it, it's called rasha. V'nezirut kazot, nezirut rashaim. That's called nezirut of wicked people. אבל הנודר להשם, היא הובס לו השם לדרך קדושה. הרי זה נאר ומשובח. What does it mean? 1 second. Before you told me, I'm not going to drink, if I will do this and this and this, I'm not going to drink wine, right? Argument's sake. If I don't know, if I win the lottery, I'll shave my hair. מה זה? זה רשע. Or if if this girl is not going to drink, if this girl is not going to marry me, I'm not going to drink wine. Ze rasha. But he says it's tzaddik. What does it mean? In Moreh Nevuchim, and now this is the catch. In Moreh Nevuchim, the guide to the perplex, the Rambam writes, "V'chen li matarot haTorah, hatara ve'akdusha." One of the purposes of the Torah was giving us to make us pure, to make us holy. K'mo shebi'er, as explained, shegam azivat shtiyat hayayin kedusha be'amron nazir kodesh yeh. Excuse me, when the Torah says when a person becomes a Nazir, a Nazirite, he doesn't drink wine, he becomes holy. I'm completely confused. Aval tama nezirut pashut, and he says the reason for Nazirite is very simple. V'prishut mishtiyat nayin, and so on and so forth. And I don't know what the Rambam is saying. On one hand, he calls me a sinner if I don't drink wine. The other one, he says me kadosh, and this is the key. In Sefer Hayad HaChazaka, Mishnah Torah LaRambam, which is a book for most people, the Rambam wrote, to become a Nazir, as we say in the Gemara, to become a Nazir is a bad thing to do. Why? Because most people, as the Ibn Ezra said, most people are motivated or generated or propelled by their desires. So when you do so, you're not doing it for a good reason. You're not doing it for Hashem. You're doing it because you want people to say, oh man, you know this guy? Shh, is it tzaddik? Is it tzaddik? He doesn't need this, he doesn't need that. He doesn't talk to people who didn't go to the mikveh. Ribono shel olam. How do you know if he didn't go to the mikveh? Why, he has a certificate. Why, you have x-ray vision. Nobody knows. What will happen if the guy says, guess what? I did go to the mikveh. What are you talking about? Here's the receipt. So he'll find a reason. I don't see people between the ages of this age to that age and this time. I don't look at women. This kind of nazirut, that it's done for anything else, even for yourself to feel good. Oh, you know what I did? I'm fasting every Monday and Thursday now. You took it upon yourself. I wanna show myself. I'll humble myself. This is not nazirut that we're talking about. This is what the Rambam, and this is what the Gemara calls choteh, a sinner. The nazirut, because it says, I want to elevate my avodat Hashem, and that's between him and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm doing so to purify myself. I'm doing so to become a better person. That is called Kadosh. That the Rambam wrote in Moreh Nevuchim, the guide to the perplex. The guide for the perplex is not a book for messes. It's a book for individuals. For those individuals who are able to understand what he wants from there. So there's certain things you tell the masses, and there's certain things you tell the individuals. Right? The same thing, you have foot soldiers and you have commandos. You have Delta Force and you have troopers. You know, regular soldiers, foot soldiers. The rules are different. For the regular foot soldier, when you go into battle, they need the gear, they need the patches, they need the this and the hell, and they always work with the hats and the berets and the salutes and this and that and the other thing. For the special operation person who is an individual thinker, who knows what needs to be done, you don't have to tell him anything. He doesn't go with uniform. He doesn't cut his hair. He has a beard. He wears an unregulated gun. He wears this kind of gun and that kind of gun and so on and so forth. He wears whatever shoes he wants. He has a bag. Instead of wearing, standard issue boots, he buy some Adidas that he find, right? What's the name of the Adidas? GSG Adidas, that's what he wants. He buys some Salomon sneakers, right? He mix and matches based on his individualism. He does it for the sake because he will get the job done. What a troop of 4 Delta Force people, sometimes a whole platoon of soldiers will not be able to execute. So this is what it is. When you are a part of the masses and you're doing things because you don't know what you're doing, and you're doing it because everybody else is doing it, don't forget that most people don't know what they're doing. So therefore, why would you do what everybody else does when they don't know what they're doing? It's kind of stupid, isn't it? So when you do it like this, you call a sinner. If you wear a black hat on Shabbat because everybody else wears it, something is wrong with you. Did you ever ask, excuse me, question, why do we wear black hat on Shabbat? Tell you, listen, it's a sign of respect and dignity and so on and so forth. By the way, there's nothing wrong to look like John Wayne. So you understand why you're doing things. And the danger of doing things without knowing, because it looks good, because it feels good, because somebody will give you a compliment, that's not Avodat Hashem. So when you're wearing the crown of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the crown of such a person as a tzaddik, and you're actually not a tzaddik, you're doing it for people, you call a rasha, you call a sinner. But a person that does it, behetzneah, nobody knows what he does, and so on and so forth. He's doing it because it's an intimate relationship between him and God. That's a sign of a mature, respectful human being. You don't run away and tell your friends whatever happened in your bedroom with your wife. If you do, you got a problem. It's intimate. The same thing here, lehavdil. The relationship between an individual and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is intimate. Whatever he does, it's his own things. When you do it for that sake, because that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you feel closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Truthfully, then it says, the Torah says, this is Nazir Kodesh. He's going to be a holy man. But when it's not, when he's doing like everybody, he has a hole in his head, he's not holy. Shabbat Shalom.